Hello, my name is Sean, and today I'll be going over Gray Hexabuttons. So, with Gray Hexabuttons, each non-center button is assigned a value and a function. Each value will be unique and ranges from 1 to 6. Also, each function will also be unique, and the functions are basically listed down below with its name of the function above each one. There's also going to be a constant throughout this module, and this constant is assigned a value between 1 to 6 and never changes between button to button. So, knowing that, whenever we press a button, the result, that is, it'll take the value of the button, which could be 1 through 6, and takes one of the 6 functions that's assigned through it and pushes through it. So, for instance, if constant was 2, and the function was a, 4 plus 2 would equal 6, so 6 will be listed on the center button. In order to disarm this module, we need to press each button from 1 to 6 while in, submission mode. So, let's begin this process. So, we know that this has a value of 6. That's funny that I just said that. The next one has a value of 13. And let me just do something like this. So we got all that. Next one is 5. This one has a value of 0. This button has 4. And finally, this button has 2. So we got all this. Now the other thing we know that one of the buttons, exactly one of the buttons, will have its value already printed on it, which is this button right here. So we know that the value of this is 4. And one or more of the buttons will have a letter function on it. It's very rare to have basically one or more letters than that is 1. But in rare cases, there can be more than one button labeled a letter. Now be this button right over here. So this is going to get the function alpha. So we know that the value of 4 has already been taken up by the top left button, and the function a has been already taken up by the bottom right. So I'm going to label that. So let's take a look at 4 here. Actually, let's take a look at alpha here for a second. We know that the value, at least the result that's given, is 2, right? And so x has to be 1 to 6, at least the button's value has to be 1 through 6, and constant has to be 1 through 6, right? So, and since it's a and the number is 2, there's only one possibility that this can happen, in which case x is both 1 and so is the constant, which is 1 plus 1 equals 2. Because of that, we know what the constant is, and we know basically what the value of the bottom right button is. From now, we're just going to do some deduction work here. So, we know that the result is 6, and we got the value is 4 of that. So, how is this going to be possible? Well, let's take a look here. If it's here, that'll be 2 times 8. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 would be 9, so it can't be that. Here would be 4 plus 2 times 1 is 2, so 4 plus 2 is 6. So this is a possibility. Next we have 4 minus 1, that's 3. Nope. 4 times 2, 8 minus 1 is 7. Nope. And we have 4 minus 2 is 2. Nope. So that means function C has to be this one. All right, let's take another look at these things here. So we have a 0 over here, indicating that this has to be a subtraction. One of the subtractions here. So we can't use 1 because we already used 1. So that means the next number, at least lowest number, has to be 2. So if we take 2 times 2 minus 1 would be 1. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3, and then you have 2 minus 2 times 1 is 2, which makes it 0. So this is the only possibility for this, in which case the function it's using is f, and the value that this is using is 2. All right, next we also have a very high value number here, which means it has to be one of the additions here. Or it can be basically echo or bravo, because this is one of the two things that can make very large values. So the highest value that we can do is 6, because 1 through 6. Now 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So bravo is a possibility, while the other one is 12 minus 1, which is only 11. So I'd say bravo is the one being used here, and 6 is the value that's stored. Now we have these last two values. We already used up 1, 2, but we have 3. So 3 and 5 are the only ones left. So let's take a look here. 3 and 5. All right, so if we take 5 right here, that's 5 minus 1 is 4, whereas this one is 10 minus 1 is 9. So we have 4 and 9, and 4 is the one here, so that means this one has to be 5, while the function is delta, which means this one has to be 3, with the function being e, and we can double check that with 3 times 2 being 6 minus 1 is 5. Yep, that all works. So now we don't care about these letters at all. All we care about is these values. So we have 4, 6, 3, 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. Yep. So I have to press them from 1 to 6 order while in submission mode. To enter submission mode, you press the center button, and that will indicate that the center button is flashing, and all you gotta do is press them in the order. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Let's do one more of these. So we have 5, -3, 11, 8, 4, and 2. All right, let's do this so I got it all rearranged. And we know that the bottom left value is a 4. In the middle right, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th one, right here, is a bravo. So let me do this. You know, bravo's already been used. So because of that, we have basically 8 here, which means there's only 2 possibilities with this, from what I've imagined. So let's say the value is 1. So 1 times 2 is 2, which means the constant has to be 6, which is a possibility. The other possibility is if we do 2 times 2, that's 4, which means constant also has to be 4. And then finally, we also have what is basically, if I'm trying to understand this, 3, which is 3 times 2 is 6. That means constant has to be 2. So I have 1, 2, and 3, with constants being 6, 4, and 2, respectively. But the other thing is, we also have a 4 here. We know the value of the button is 4, but it also outputted a 4, which is very strange. When adding stuff, usually, we don't get the same result. It's usually different from the rest. But when subtracting, so it can't be any of the adding, because 4 plus anything between 1 and 6 would not be 4. Then we have here, 4 minus anything from 1 to 6 would not result in a 4. However, something like this could happen, in which this is the only expression in which something like this could happen. So if we take 4 times 2 makes it 8, which means between 1 to 6, 4 is the constant. So because of that, we can now evaluate this expression. So if we do 2 times whatever, We also have to get 4. So if we subtract 4 from 8, that gets 4. And if we take 4 divided by 2, that's 2, which means if we do 2 times 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8. So that means this value has to be 2. Now we got an 11 over here. Now, usually you don't get high values from doing subtraction or anything like that. And we already take care of echo, which is one of those values that can be high, or since we get the same value. And we got rid of B, which is another high value. So we are left with alpha and Charlie. Well, if we take 6 plus 4, that results in 10. So it can't be A, which means it has to be Charlie here. And if we evaluate the expression, 2 times 4 is 8, which means it has to be 3 more to get 11. All right, here's a negative expression here. We've already used echo, so we're left with delta and constant, which there is 2 possibilities of being delta and foxtrot, because if it's delta, that means x has to be 1 in this case, because 1 minus 4 would be negative 3. And the other one is this one over here, which is going to be 8 minus whatever, in which this case, in that case, it would be 5 if it's foxtrot. So it would be looking something like this. And we haven't used 1 or 5 yet, so those are fine. We also have 2. Now, when adding stuff, this is also another case in which this is subtracting, because 4 plus anything would not result in 2. So this also has to be D or F, but which value is which, though? So if we take this would be 6, because 6 minus 4 would be 2. And then with this one, with 8, that can't be possible. Like, nothing could be possible with foxtrot to make it 2. I don't think so. Let me check. Because it would be 8. And be this, the highest value would be negative 2. So that means this has to be delta. So because this has to be delta, this has to be foxtrot, which leaves the last value of 1 being here, which is alpha, because 1 plus 4 is 5. So all this is just trying to figure out exactly which is which. So now we got this, this, and this. Now all you gotta do is enter recording mode here. And we have to press it in the correct order. So say if I did press this one instead of the 4, all your input will be resetted, and you'll get out of submission mode. So we have to re-enter submission mode again and do the correct button presses. I hope all of you enjoyed this tutorial. Until next time, guys, keep talking and don't explode.